The truth is, chasing optimal plans, optimal diets, and optimal exercise selection is the reason you will never build a physique you are proud of. You need to build a physique with purpose and build your own training philosophy. This is the way to get endless progress for the rest of your life. You need to build a system that reflects who you are, your own philosophies, what scratches your itch, your life, your situation, and your body will be an embodiment of that. Having a lean, aesthetic, powerful physique, one that you're truly proud of, will make you top 1% of men. But majority of the male population goes to the gym, but most still can't bench 225, they can't do 5 pull-ups, and overall the standards are still really low and it's so easy to stick out. The problem is majority of guys get stuck in cycles. They do bulks, they do cuts, they try new training programs, but they never actually make significant progress. And the problem is they are just copying trends. They haven't figured out what actually scratches their itch and motivates them. The reality is your body is completely different than everyone else's, and you can copy your favorite influencers, your favorite YouTubers' fitness program, but it is not necessarily going to result in the same amount of progress, and nothing is going to be optimal for you. You need to figure out what actually suits your body, your mind, and build your own philosophy around training, which is going to keep you consistent in the long run. You can get in great shape in 6 to 12 months and really accelerate progress, especially if you work with someone who knows what they're doing. But in reality, that top tier 1% physique is going to take years and years and years of training. And the only way you're going to be consistent is if you truly enjoy the process. And that's why you need to build your program around you and your situation. The more influencers you listen to, the more trends you copy, the new study that you change your whole workout routine to base it off is the reason why you're never actually going to get the physique you want. And I see this time and time and time again. I've been training for 13 years and I've seen loads of people with great genetics and who once had good physiques never actually be able to stay consistent and reach their final form or the best version of themselves because of this exact issue. They keep hopping from thing to thing to thing, but they never stay consistent long enough to see results from any of the one thing, and they never actually end up falling in love with the process. They look for what's optimal to get the most amount of results as fast as possible, but end up getting no results at all and end up quitting. Your physique and your body should be a reflection of your training philosophy, what you think is the most aesthetic physique. Maybe it's one with super overdeveloped arms who does calisthenics. Maybe you like to do a lot of movement training. You need to figure out what actually reflects who you are and what you see as the ideal male physique. And that way there's always going to be an avenue for you to progress at, not just waiting for your next influencer workout routine or YouTube video. Once you define your purpose and your training philosophy, you will never be able to fall off track because everything you do is actually serving a purpose. Every meal you eat, every piece of food you eat is working towards a greater goal. You are never going to have shiny object syndrome and look over there and say, oh, that seems like a better program, I should do that, even though you just started your own routine. Every single set and every single exercise you do is for a greater good. This is what you need to be aiming for at all times. And even when you build your own philosophy, there are going to be times where you look in the mirror and you say, oh, I'm not really in love with the process right now, and you may need to slightly alter where you're heading, but it is so important to always have a North Star you're aiming towards. You need to figure out what you are really training for. Are you training for aesthetics? Are you training for just women? Are you training to be more confident? Are you training to be the strongest person ever? You need to figure out what that is and specialize. For example, if you look at arm wrestling training like Devin Larratt, they literally do only 1 or 2 movements for arm wrestling that are so specific for their exact niche inside of arm wrestling so they can become the best at it. And that way they're always motivated because they're always working towards becoming better at that specific thing. But if you're just going to the gym just to get bigger, just to get stronger, you really have no direction. And that's why majority of people fall off. You need to pick a battle and stick to it for as long as you can. And then once you achieve that, then you can evolve that battle, change it to something else that is just off to the side or adjacent, and then start evolving in that realm as well. And now you've already built the base from your previous one. For example, maybe you start out really focusing on strength. You want to get super strong. You set some clear strength standards you want to hit. And then after you've already achieved those, okay, now you can be a really strong guy who starts training for aesthetics. So you keep that strength foundation, and now you build a more aesthetic physique. When you have this purpose, you are never going to plateau. You can always evolve, you can always go up to something adjacent and keep making progress. This is going to be a reflection as your evolution as a man. You are never just going to be on the same path forever. Even bodybuilders, if you look at Mike Menser, for example, he started out doing high volume, because this is one of the most famous examples. He started out doing high volume, but later in his career, as his goals adapted, as he had already built a foundation, he switched to heavy duty training when he became more of a scientist, I guess you could call him, and he was doing research and papers, and he only trained once a week or once every 2 weeks, and he kept pushing the envelope in that regard. And your life is always going to change. You're always going to have different struggles, different opportunities, different situations. So your life is never going to be standard. You're probably not going to train 5 days a week for an hour doing the exact same routine for the rest of your life. You might have a family, you might have a new career, you might work different hours. You need to learn how to actually adapt on the go, and this is where your philosophy and your training style is going to come into play, because if you have a clear purpose, you're going to be able to look at your routine and be able to adapt it to different situations regardless of what comes up in your life. A lot of guys, when something comes up, oh, they have to work longer hours, or oh, they have to go on vacation or move somewhere for a month, whatever. They go, oh, I can't follow the routine, I might as well just not go at all. And that's how you never actually stay consistent long enough to see that progress you want. How do you actually build your own philosophy? Well, it's quite simple. Step one, you need to figure out what your goal is. It can be a combination of different goals. It can be aesthetics, strength, mobility, athleticism. It doesn't really matter, but you need to figure out the percentages and how much you're going to dedicate to each system. Number two, you need to figure out, okay, what is the way we're actually going to achieve this? How many days a week are we going to train? How's our recovery going to look? What kind of exercises are we going to do? What type of training style do I like? Do I like doing higher volume? Does that really scratch my itch? Does that excite me every time I walk in the gym? Or are we going to do something lower volume and spend less time in the gym but train harder? Number three, you need to start tracking everything. See how your body responds to this. See what works, what doesn't work. This is all trial and error, and at the end of the day, this is going to build you the best physique possible. And lastly, you need to stick to each thing for enough time to actually see progress. So you need to do a minimum of 12 weeks. 3 months of doing the same thing, maybe making slight alterations that aren't going to have drastic impacts. For example, if you change an exercise or the number of sets you do, that's totally fine, but you wouldn't want to change completely the style of training you're doing under every 12 weeks. This is how you stop becoming a follower of all these influencers and all these trends, and you actually become an architect of your physique and your life and your own mission as a man. And this is what's not only going to make you unique as a person, but also build you a unique physique. A lot of influencers' physiques look all the same. They don't really have anything special. They don't have any special skills or strengths. They all just kind of do the same boring upper-lower split. Yes, these things work and they're a good foundation. That's why I still make videos about them. But you need to start looking at what you actually enjoy and working on building up your weak points, what excites you, and other aspects of training that can actually help you evolve as a person and just become a multi-dimensional man.